Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to save tens of thousands of pounds for your company with business process outsourcing and resource augmentation in today's session with Asif Khan, and he is the founder of Sidekick. He's a lawyer qualified in England and Pakistan. He's the founder of Sidekick, which is a back office support and business process outsourcing firm based in Pakistan with clients in the UK and in Pakistan. He's also a board member of various family-owned businesses in Pakistan under the Saif Group umbrella, and he focuses mainly on Saif Healthcare, which owns and operates a private hospital in Islamabad. Thank you so much for coming today. And first question is, what is the secret to your success?
Thank you, Lily, for having me. I think patience is very important. So, something I usually ask people is, how do you define success? So you can have professional success, for example, personal success, success with relationships, or just, success holistically. So, it depends on what the definition of success is. But I think in all three, the common theme is it requires, a patience and perseverance. There are times when in professional life, whether it's a business or your career, you feel like you're not succeeding, but you may be taking small steps towards achieving the goal. And I think we often mistake this. Is something you hear very commonly, that we underestimate how much you can achieve in 10 years. We overestimate what we can achieve in a year, or 2 years. So it's essentially taking incremental steps towards your goal, having patience to see that to an outcome, and not essentially being demotivated by failures or challenges you have along the way. Success is impossible without failure and challenges. So when you're in those moments, it doesn't mean you're not succeeding. It means, they're just hurdles to overcome towards success.
Thank you. Please tell us, how did you become an awakened titan with business process outsourcing and resource augmentation?
So I say I'm awakened in the sense that, I see an opportunity. I wouldn't go as far as to call myself a titan yet, but we just started this process about 2 years ago. So Sidekick was founded 2 years ago, and we're early on in our journey. I think with the business essentially provides back office support services, primarily in the areas of finance, so accounting, bookkeeping. Two companies based in the UK and elsewhere as well, the UAE and the US. Our particular focus, though, is the UK. The opportunity essentially is just tens of thousands of very qualified resources in Pakistan. We are an English-speaking country. So primary and secondary education, at least for lots of the middle class, is in English. And we also are a common wealth jurisdiction, so our education system is very similar to the UK's, and therefore we have similar qualifications. So our accountants, for example, many of them have done the ACCA. That's a accreditation based in the United Kingdom. So they go through similar or equivalent training and certification, and therefore what's lacking sometimes is the practical side. So they haven't necessarily had exposure to foreign companies, but they've had exposure in their own market. And I think I'm trying to bridge that gap where not everyone from the country can and should leave. There's tremendous brain drain at the moment, and it's a common theme for a lot of developing countries, especially when they have economic crises. But there are many good reasons not to leave. So you have family ties back home. You've got society. You've got your kind of social circle over there. Lots of other support, which people basically undervalue when they come abroad. When you come abroad, you realize you've got to start everything from scratch. And essentially, for the developing country as well, it requires these knowledge workers. It needs them to essentially propel, a growth, but also the tax base. So the way world has changed since COVID-19 is remote and distributed work has become the norm. That wasn't the case before. So, people did it in certain segments. I'd say marketing, graphic design, software, for example. Now you see in many other professional services, accounting, law as well. There's lots of remote work, and the kind of the awakening or the epiphany I had was that there are talented resources in Pakistan who can provide these services to companies over here, but at a fraction of the cost. And obviously, the distribution of that work or the supply of that work is almost cost free or at a very minimal cost. Not cost free, but costs are not high. It's not capital intensive because you need an internet connection and a laptop, and obviously access to software tools, which are all very reasonable nowadays. The resources, as you'd be aware, are a lot cheaper in a place like Pakistan, and that's obviously because it's a developing market, and that essentially obviously the labor cost and the pricing is very different.
Okay, so the idea is that we hire your company, and then your company provides what kind of staff? Is it for admin? Is it for marketing? Tell us more about how exactly it works.
So at the moment, you hire our company and we provide you with finance professionals. So they're qualified accountants, and they can provide you with payroll process outsourcing. So they can run your payroll function. They can do your bookkeeping, and they can also do a lot of the steps towards your tax preparation. You'll have your qualified lawyer in your home country, file those taxes, and there's a lot of administrative and essentially groundwork which needs to be done before you reach that stage. And we can provide all of that. We've focused on finance for now, although we feel that there's opportunity to grow into the marketing space as well. So digital marketing, graphic design, and also admin. So executive assistant services, for example, having a resource in Pakistan who can speak English and help you manage and coordinate your diary. But for now, because we're still early in our journey, we're focusing on finance, accountants specifically.
Thank you. So the benefit is first that the accountants from Pakistan, they tend to speak really good English, and they are familiar with everything that needs to be done here in terms of being an admin or doing the bookkeeping or accountancy. And so like in this way, because the cost is a lot cheaper, they can save your company, depending on the size, tens of thousands, or in some cases, hundreds of thousands, depending on how big your company is, right? And what other benefits are there for hiring your company?
So there's a quality assurance process. We have in place, a QA as well as a roster of professionals. So we can provide you with one individual, and if you get on really well with that individual, well and good, but we tend to provide you with a backup, and that's because things can change. Someone may move on, or for other reasons can't continue to provide you services. We want that continuity. And the way our pricing works is that you can end up with multiple resources, so 2 resources or more looking after your matter. And if one resource leaves, we can add in another one. Additionally, we've got a quality assurance function as well, just to make sure that there's a touch point outside of the service provider who's making sure you're getting the best quality service as well. So we have check-ins with our clients over here routinely, and essentially, we know that they're providing services to you efficiently. That way, we've got a touch point outside of the service provider.
Thank you so much. Tell us about your work in the Saif Group umbrella as well. What is it that you do there? And are you also using the business process outsourcing there, or that one is a local thing?
Yeah, so Saif Group is a large conglomerate in Pakistan with many operating companies. It ranges from textiles. There's some of our earlier investments. So a couple of textile mills, a textile mill in Egypt as well, and energy, power, and healthcare. So it's a range of businesses. We also have another within the group, another services company called SoftTech. SoftTech provides software development, web development services. So yes, locally we don't, you know, we don't require augmentation. We've got the resources in Pakistan. If anything, we may need consultancy from people outside every now and then. But there's another business within that group, SoftTech specifically, where we are doing staff augmentation. So Sidekick provides, staff for companies here. In the accounting space, SoftTech does in the web development and software development space. So.
Thank you. And what are the top things for entrepreneurs to watch out for when they hire a company like yours for business process outsourcing?
They need to know that the outfit has some credibility in their local market. So it's backed by people with deep connections, to the country where they're getting the resources from. Essentially, there's a strong HR function and connectivity to pools of talent, so labor, resources, knowledge workers is required, and essentially the credibility around quality assurance and the fact that they've delivered in other projects in the past. So there are lots of fly by the night operations in the space nowadays, and they set up shop for 6 months at a time. They may do one project and then there's no continuity. They're not able to deliver a second or third, and often they struggle to get the best resources as well because they're at a smaller scale. So having a bigger business group backing you means that you're able to attract better talent to these projects. They have a sense of comfort as well that that this newer venture is backed by a larger group, and so there is some buy-in from their side as well, to do this work. As you know, with freelance markets nowadays and talent marketplaces, which there are a lot of, and they continue to grow. Lots of talented individuals can provide their services themselves, right? So there needs to be some hook, something more than just simply a salary or a fee to attract them to you. And I think a bigger group provides that. So you end up getting the better resources in the market when you've got a Saif Group backing a project.
Thank you so much. And what should entrepreneurs watch out for in order to hire the right people for a business process outsourcing?
I think it's important that you get your technical team members involved. So, for example, if you're outsourcing finance, then your CFO or your FD or your external accountant, someone who deals with that work for you, should be involved because they can ask the right questions and they can assess the qualification of the resource as well. Equally, if you're doing this for software services, for example, then your developer should be involved in that. So entrepreneurs should understand where their weaknesses are and what the limits of their knowledge is, and where it's a specialist area, then they should have specialists, we call it onshore, so or in the company involved to ensure that that the hiring is done correctly.
Thank you so much. I feel that you are making a really massive difference with this this platform that you created with Sidekick, and also with your role in the Saif Group. Can I ask you, was there any particular moment in your life that awakened you to your titanic power?
Well, I think I've had a lot of opportunity that others from Pakistan have not. So, for example, I was born in the U.S. and then moved to the UK to study law. Studied law at Cambridge, and then was called to the bar and qualified as a solicitor, and practiced here for 10 years. So you end up with a lot of exposure when you work in a place like London. And of course, with I ended up naturalizing as a British citizen, so that opens up lots of other opportunities and travel to you. And what I felt with Pakistan is that we have lots of talented individuals over there. But we don't have the most powerful passport, so it's very difficult to get visas as a Pakistani. You're constantly applying and often rejected. Secondly, we don't have a lot of tourism and trade like India, for example. So the market ends up being somewhat closed. It's difficult for our people to leave the country, and because of economic conditions, and I think mismanagement of politics, and also involvement of the military in politics. Lots of reasons. We can go on and on, but there's just not a lot of trade and investment, external trade and investment into Pakistan either. So I felt that the opportunities I've had in a place like London, can we bring some of those opportunities to Pakistanis through technology? And I think it broadens their horizons. It gives them a chance to work with professionals in a more dynamic, fast-paced environment, and provides them the skills to be able to actually serve bigger companies at home, but also potentially to go abroad and get larger opportunities for themselves. So we can only do that, of course, with the technology revolution, and the fact that you and I are sitting in different places now having this discussion. This was not possible even 10 years ago, or it cost a lot of money even 10 years ago. So all of this happened in a very short span of time. So that was the awakening, is, what can I do to kind of bring these opportunities to our people in Pakistan? And this is a small stab at, that challenge.
Thank you. Now, because you have this very impressive role in the Saif Healthcare, I'm wondering what got you this particular opportunity, and how did you reach there? Because you've been doing this for quite a lot of years, right?
Yeah, it's been doing it. I mean, maybe about 3 years now. So I just kind of rewind a little bit. For this, I started my career in London, and I was a full-time lawyer, and did that for nearly 10 years. And then since then, I've essentially done a number of different things. So I felt like I wanted to invest in myself and free myself up for other opportunities. So one, I started legal consulting. Secondly, I started Sidekick, and then thirdly, I started working with family business. So that's something that existed earlier. Saif Healthcare has been around for about 14 years. I've only been involved more directly for 3 years. And in those 14 years, it had grown substantially to have now a 100-bedded hospital in a prime central location in Islamabad, which is the capital of Pakistan. And it's a cash flow positive business. We're looking to expand and grow. So there was an opportunity there to have, because it's obviously it's family business. It's a business started by my father. But what could I bring to the table? I'm not a doctor, for example, and I've not worked in healthcare previously. But the experience I have is as a lawyer in corporate finance, and then in asset management. So fundraising specifically, but also dealing with business strategy. So my role is more around where we take this business in the next 10 years, and also somewhat on the operational side of things. So to improve efficiency, but also make sure that we can improve our bottom line. We're cash flow positive, but we can do better. We'd like to be able to pay a dividend to our shareholders soon. Healthcare is quite a capital-intensive business and has a longer gestation period than many other businesses. So it takes about 7 years or so to break even on average. But we've been around for now nearly 14 years. So we're at a stage where we need to increase our bottom line efficiency and pay a dividend. So I come in on that side, more on a strategic side, rather than day-to-day operations. But on the operational side too, there's some advisory work on trying to kind of increase margins and profitability of the business.
Thank you. So, what can companies achieve by doing their, the outsourcing of their business processes and getting their staff augmented through leveraging people from Pakistan, for example?
So, it's not just about costs, but costs always comes up, right? So, you can save tens of thousands of pounds, maybe hundreds of thousands of pounds over many years. I'll give you an example on costs that, Pakistan may be about 2 or 3 times cheaper than India now, where the Pakistani rupee as the currency is, right? So and when we've got similarly qualified resources. So I think that augmentation and outsourcing has been occurring for many years. It's quite a competitive business space. There are lots of people who provide such services. But for businesses operating in the West, basically, because of inflation, rampant inflation, which we've really seen, since the COVID-19 pandemic, prices have gone up, and because of that, there's a knock-on effect on wages and salaries as well. Of course, your buying power is eroded if your salary doesn't go up. So, cost of resources, the hourly rates have just gone up so significantly, and basically, the companies are looking to save money somewhere. What's going to add to this is obviously the AI and machine learning revolution. So we're not quite there yet, where you can just have a machine do a lot of process for you. A lot of human intervention is still required. But the opportunity for a company here is that they can go to a place like Pakistan, which is professionals as qualified as professionals in India, for less of a price, and take care of a lot of their administrative work, which is essential to keep the business running, done for a fraction of the cost, usually less than 50% of the cost you would cost here. So you can free up your existing resources to do more high value and productive work. Productivity crash in the West is an issue, especially in the UK, is a problem. So we're looking for ways to increase productivity. But if you're essentially bogging your team down with lots of Excel spreadsheets and data entry, for example, then are they really adding value to your core business? And that's where Sidekick comes in, is that we can be your sidekick or your assistant. So your finance function can outsource a lot of these more administrative tasks to us, and we will take care of it whilst you focus on your core business and growing that core business, and being productive, and obviously freeing up your employees from grunt work, which obviously affects their morale as well. You want happy employees. The happier the employee, the more productive. There are lots of studies which show that correlation.
Thank you. And are the accountants there familiar with the laws from the UK as well?
They are. So we take in particular ACCA, qualified accountants. It's an accreditation in the UK, and so they are qualified, and we provide them training as well. So they go through training on the laws here. I think the key issue is that we're not your accountant who's filing your taxes, for example. You will have a qualified accountancy firm over here doing that for you. We're just doing a lot of the intermediate steps. Of course, that has to be done in compliance with local laws, which our team and our consultants understand. But the final sign-off obviously is from your accountant here. So we're not providing essentially regulated services out of Pakistan without a license. We're providing all those intermediate steps, which are essential to be able to finalize your accounts or your taxes.
Thank you so much. And what is your message to entrepreneurs worldwide?
I think back yourselves, believe in your goal, and have patience. So success doesn't always come very quickly, but to add to that, be nimble as well. Essentially, your battle plans sound very good until they're tested, on the battlefield, right? And that can just destroy any plans you had, right? The market can there may not be a market for a product, there may not be a market for a service, or as you pitched it or you thought it up, you conjured it when you started your journey, when you wrote your business plan. So I think be nimble as well, especially in the early days, to pivot and change that model around so that you can achieve your end goal and be successful. But I think the main thing is essentially having the confidence to believe in yourself, because too often, we don't take that first step because we're not sure we'll be able to succeed, and you just keep delaying taking that first step for years and years and years, where you come to a point where you actually never did that the business or that idea you had in mind. And I mean, we all know the statistics about business failure, right? The vast majority of first businesses end in some type of failure. But I think it's through that learning as well. So calculated risk, but that learning you get when you put yourself in the field, that you can make your second or third business a great success, right? So don't be scared of failure as well.
Thank you so much. And stay tuned to the next episode.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential, so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.